Hi, welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. I'm Kevin.
I'm Patrick.
And this week is brought to you by the passion of two grown men on the internet for video games.
Oh, yeah, video games. Yeah.
We like video games.
We do.
So, one of the coolest things, like, I don't know about you, I am not Bruce Wayne. I do not have access to infinite monies.
Yeah.
And so, Amazon announced a thing last week, 2 weeks ago. It was a little bit ago. I just forgot to talk about it. So, sorry about that. Hope nothing came out in the past 2 weeks that you really wanted to not pay as much for. So, for Amazon Prime members, which that's a pretty good bargain. Yeah. I like Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
I like ordering stuff online.
Oh, yeah.
Getting it in 2 days for free. But yeah, they have a deal now where Amazon Prime members get 20% off all video game pre-orders and new releases within the first 2 weeks, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And that brings the price with tax down to like $51.
$51 free, and you're Prime, so you're free shipping. If you're pre-ordering it, you're getting it, I usually get them like the Wednesday or so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's completely worth it. I just did this for the Lego Avengers game, which you can still get this deal if you're watching this video as it airs. So it's $51 for the new Lego game. You can pre-order Far Cry Primal and all that. One thing I will point out, though, is when you look at the item, it won't show the price until it's in your cart, and until it's not only in your cart, but you've gone to checkout. So trust me, it will change as you go through it.
Yeah. The other really cool thing about that is the 2 week window.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that because there's a lot of different tactics that publishers use to get you to pre-order. They'll have outrageous bonuses and say that they're going to release a game early and tiers and bleh.
Yeah.
That TWIOCH thing was one of the weirdest pre-order things I've ever seen.
I'm glad it didn't happen.
But this allows, this gives you time to let the reviews come out, let things settle, and you can figure out whether this is actually something that you want. And so I will probably be going back to physical media for a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
Which is cool, because,
Now you just have to remember what's physical and what's digital. As you go and select the game and go, oh, I don't have the disc in.
Yeah.
I'm doing that right now.
Yeah. Well, as long as it's, not an M game, I can be just like, hey, go put this one in. Because I taught him last weekend how to and how not to put discs into the machine. Which
press this button first so it ejects first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do that before you try to put the next one in. Because, nope.
Yep.
Because I actually have a copy of Black Ops 3 because somebody's little child was putting discs in upside down, and so it doesn't read them anymore, and that's sad.
Yeah.
But
very sad. But speaking of physical, so if you like Far Cry and you like Far Cry Primal,
you like physical pain and anguish and torment and
being uncomfortable, I guess. You can sleep in a cave for Far Cry Primal
in France, no less.
In France, it's worth it for the trip. I mean,
I would absolutely do this if I win.
Yeah. So essentially, it's like we said, if you win. So I'm guessing they're going to fly you out there and everything as well.
They fly you out there and you sleep in a cave
with a friend. You can bring a friend. Sleep in a cave for a night. I think that's really cool. I like this a lot better than the whole. I think this is more intriguing to me than the whole Just Cause 3 win your own island. The reason for that is the taxes involved and everything else of having your own island. I'm sure that's going to be. That doesn't sound. It sounds great, but then once you get it, you're like. And then you're like, how do I get to and from this island? Do I sell this to somebody? Yeah. This is cooler. It's like I go to France.
You get this experience.
Yes.
And the story and
that's it. You don't have to worry about the heartache of or the stress of should I sell this? How do you go about selling an island? Who buys islands?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Marlon Brando's not around anymore, so I don't know who you could sell. I'm sure someone.
Lex Luthor.
You could. Lex Luthor would probably buy it. Yeah, off the books through a shell company. But
so if you can find him.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool promotional idea, and it really doesn't cost them that much.
Yeah.
So I really like that. It's a very, very on point for the game. So
see, I also like the idea of a bunch of people wearing much nicer clothes than I, sitting in a room, and one of them says, "I've got this idea. What if?" Stay with me here. What if we picked a random person and sent them to a cave to spend the night because they're cavemen in our game and they could be in a cave? And then a bunch of other people went, yes, that is the idea.
Well, but if you think about, hold on, I was going to say developer-wise, this would be the publisher that would be doing something like this. Because the developer, you said much nicer clothes than you and I. This is basically what most of the developers that I know wear.
Yeah, I mean,
care.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Kojima's a smart dresser, though.
Yeah,
like I like the way he.
That's the difference between style and wanting to dress like that versus not having to dress up and not caring.
Yeah.
And in his case, he actually does want to have a little bit of style, but that's different than the whole you have to wear this, the whole work uniform. And I don't mean like Walmart work uniform. I mean
dress code.
Case in point, my office thankfully is nowhere near as bad as this, but someone that I know used to work for EDS, which is a Ross Pro company, if you guys didn't know. Mm-hmm. So you had to wear a dress shirt, slacks. You had to have a blue blazer. Had to be blue for your jacket. If you got up, and a red tie. And if you got up out of your chair, you had to put your jacket back on. So if you get to work and you take your blazer off, because maybe it's a little warm in the office, you take that off, you put it on the chair, and you sit in the chair. Once you get up, you need to put that on, then to do whatever you're doing.
To go to the bathroom.
Yeah, so if you're caught going to the bathroom, get to the break room, whatever, and you forgot to put that on, you could be fired.
That is so bizarre.
That's ridiculous. This was mid-90s, but that just sounds so draconian to me. I mean, I don't get it.
Like, who exactly... Who are we impressed? Do they have tours with...
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
That is very
It's very strange.
Going back to Kojima, and that's, did you hear about him and Cerny traveling the world in search of the newest technology?
Yeah, I did. Some pictures of him and J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, and he went to the Sony Bend studios, and he's just wandering around being like, I'm free, I can do whatever. And that's just cool. I would love, because like Cerny is one of the most intelligent, just... I'm convinced that 95% of the time when he walks into a room, he is the smartest person in the room, no matter how many people there are there. And then Kojima is really intelligent and creative on a level that... And so I would love for them to both just wear recording devices so that I can listen to their conversations. I would listen to that. If they made that a podcast and I got to listen to an hour of their conversation every week, I would absolutely do that.
That'd be cool. I'd actually think that'd be really cool for a few people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they'd have to make sure it wasn't something that they could,
Oh yeah, because I mean, I'm sure they're hearing about all kinds of stuff we're not supposed to know about.
So,
but release
if you do it the right way. If you do it the right way, almost like a coffee shop kind of like it's coffee talk, and you just do that with him and whoever he wants, just or record their lunch breaks. Because I have interesting conversations on my lunch breaks, so that could be cool. But back to things that I think that are actually going to happen, because unfortunately that probably won't happen.
No.
Rock Band 1 songs are going to be able to be imported for your Rock Band 1 soundtrack. So that's going to be imported. I'm guessing you don't have to prove that you bought Rock Band 1 at this point, because how do you prove that?
No.
Yeah.
That's what the star is.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to have already exported it. You have to have already exported it. You have to have approved it to go to another one. So like if you had Rock Band 1 and that was approved to go to Rock Band 2 or something, and that has to be tied into your account for the console that you currently have.
So this is going to help.
But not only that, you have to have already done that.
So all of this is going to help.
You can't do it now.
Yeah, so this is going to help people obviously that already knew about it, but what percentage of rock
because
band
when they
owners,
announced this,
yeah, it was already too late.
It was already over.
Yeah, but what percentage of people did all of that? Anyways, I'd love to see that number.
Yeah.
It's got to be a single digit percentage. Yeah, so why?
I don't even know. I think it's so that they can say, hey, we said that all these songs could be exported, and we did it.
And we did.
So, like, as long as you don't look too closely, we've done everything we could to save you money on songs.
It's kind of like, I can't remember which Zelda it was. There's a Zelda that they allowed to be on 3DS. If you bought the 3DS, you had to be one of the early adopters and be in the early adopter, the ambassador program, I believe is what they called it. Then you could get...
sorry, you bought our program or our hardware so early.
You had to be in there early, and they gave you free games, and a handful of free games, most of which have come out now, and I believe it's out now, but there was a Zelda title that was on there. So for, I want to say, at least a year and a half or 2 years, people were like, I wasn't part of the program, but I want to pay you money for this. And they're like, no. It's Zelda. Don't do that with Zelda. People get mad about Zelda. So
it's true.
Yeah. Speaking about people getting mad, a lot of people got mad at the rumor that the 360 servers were going to shut down. The Xbox 360 servers are going to shut down.
And I was never able to track where the original rumor came from. It was just something that a bunch of people were suddenly tweeting at Phil Spencer, being like, "Don't shut our servers down. I'm still playing." Whatever.
But
and then he was like, "Okay, everybody, calm down.
Yeah,
we're not shutting them down.
Yeah,
everything's running, normally and." Probably, I would guess that these are not going to shut down for the main 360 servers. They might shut down.
The main ones aren't shut down for a while.
They shut down Halo 2 a little while before the anniversary one came out, so that they could have new servers and play it on this one.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate bit of console architecture as well as business when you've rolled out. It's the same thing with Internet Explorer 6, which is no longer supported.
And Windows 8.
Windows 8, which is no longer supported. So, Windows 7 isn't supported. Windows 8's supported now, right?
Windows 8 is not supported unless you have Windows 8.1.
Okay. Okay. But if you had Windows 8, you can get an upgrade to 10, so why do that?
I don't know.
And
8.1 is also free, so I don't know. And if you're not connected to the internet, then it's not bugging you about that, and they're not going to act. It was just a weird story. I read a lot of weird stories on the internet.
But let's be honest with each other. This is going to happen.
Yes.
At one point.
Yeah.
It may not be happening now, but it is going to happen at one point, which is what scares a lot of people when it comes to DLC or digital purchases of games.
Yeah.
If you have purchased a game and it's in your catalog, your library on PS4, and 15 years from now they shut down the PS4 servers, you can no longer download that game.
Yeah.
And that is an unfortunate bit of the world that we live in, and if you're trying to go digital. Even if you're going physical, you cannot download any patches for the game. You can't so if it's a broken game at launch and you buy, 30 or 40 years from now, what am I saying, 25 years from now, when you're at the game exchange or whatever they're gonna call them, the retro gaming store, and you go, I'm gonna pick up Skyrim, and it's broken because you can't download anything, or Fallout New Vegas, or whichever game. Unity. Buying those without being able to download any patches. For PC, there are workarounds.
And the communities will keep that alive for much longer than the official support.
Oh yeah, Star Wars Galaxies is still being kicking. There's a server, a very relatively predominant server, that will give you the. It's not quite the vanilla version of Star Wars Galaxies, but it's before they let anybody and everybody be Jedi. So it's what most people prefer out of it.
Yeah.
And you can still get on there, or you can download patches. The communities will archive patches for you, and you can
And shout out to people that do that, because that is a labor of love, and they are allowing this stuff to continue.
Yeah.
And that's that's really cool.
You guys are awesome for doing
Yes.
that. Yeah. So Phantasy Star 2 is coming to a closed beta in Japan. I'm not been on Phantasy Star thing, so.
Okay, it's a JRPG that's one of the first like online explorations of an MMO.
Okay.
And it looks like a mix between, for me, it looks like a mix between like Tales and like Ragnarok Online.
Okay.
It's kind of like midway between those two.
Yeah.
You have your character and you make your thing and you do stuff, and a lot of people really dug it because there wasn't anything like that at the time for consoles. However, this is only in Japan, and they haven't said anything about bringing it stateside.
Only in Japan, and it's a closed beta. Again, closed betas, I understand you know, being like server capacity and all of that. I understand that, but I get irritated every time I see this. Oh, well, it's only in Europe. It's only in Japan. It's only...
Yeah.
Come on, people.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you guys posted on that, and I'll keep my eye out on it because I don't know much about it, so it may be intriguing to me.
Yes.
Another thing that is intriguing to me that I'm really looking forward to is The Witness. So it's coming to Xbox One, maybe.
Oh, okay. So they did when they do the ESRB ratings, they have to submit it for approval and rating and everything.
Yeah.
So when they pushed it to, when they submitted it, they included, you know, PC, PS4, and Xbox One, and a lot of people got really excited. It was like, yay, it's coming to Xbox One. And so Blow, I think he tweeted about it, and he was like, okay, we have no announcements to make at this time, but by submitting it for Xbox One approval as well, we don't have to resubmit it if we do end up putting it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Which kind of sounds like I can't officially say anything yet. This game is coming to Xbox One.
Yeah.
I will go ahead and predict that now and get my point, because I'm keeping up with that stuff now.
Well, I think it's their way. It's their way of saying, well, I wasn't told I couldn't do this. It's not an exclusive. Like, if something like that happened with the sequel to Bloodborne, and it's supposed to be PlayStation exclusive, and then all of a sudden we see it pop up for, it's also going to be Xbox One. It's rated for Xbox One and submitted to Xbox One. We go, okay, I don't care. I mean, like, I know you can say whatever you want now, but we know it's not exclusive. So in this case, they're basically saying I wasn't told I couldn't do it. So
and yeah, it's a cost thing, but what he said was, this is not a clue. Don't read too much into it.
Yeah.
The other thing that came out this week is that it's going to be $40, which a lot of people were surprised about, and I really wasn't, because a lot of people go, it's a puzzle game. I don't pay $40.
They're expecting $10, $15, maybe $20.
Yeah, but I mean, dude's been working on this game for like 8 years, and he put, and I think I've told this before, but like, Braid was a huge success, made him, you know, millionaire, and continues to pay dividends. And he took the money that he got from that and poured it into the studio and the resources and what he needed to make The Witness.
Yeah.
And kept doing that.
Yeah.
And so, like, this is all his money. He's not been, like, he ended up making a deal with PlayStation, which is fun because Braid was an XBLA title.
Yes.
And so he doesn't really have a brand of choice. It was just who it was that found him, reached out to him, whatever. And I think that's cool. But so he put that there, and he put his money and his heart and soul and life into this game for 8 years.
Exactly.
$40 is not a problem.
Yeah. I'm buying it, 1 out of principle and 2 out of the intrigue of this game. The game looks beautiful, looks refreshing and interesting.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of games that come out like that, so I'm supporting him. I'm going to support him.
I'm not usually into puzzle games, but one of the biggest things for me is that they say that if you get stuck on a puzzle, wander somewhere else, work on a different puzzle, and then when you come back, you will kind of figure out, you know, the mechanics and everything.
Yeah.
And like the most frustrating thing for me, and I had this with Grim Fandango this week, last week. Like I reached the point and I was like, okay, so I need to get this giant orange guy approval to drive my car for me.
Correct.
And then I went to the 4 rooms that I have access to currently, and I did everything I could think of in those 4 rooms. And then I looked it up, and I have to, like, spoilers for the first hour of Grim Fandango, I have to, like, go out, go up a window, and go into somebody else's office and set an automatic recording to do a different thing to approve with the secretary out front. And then I stopped. And I said, nope.
Oh.
And I went away. But if I had gotten to that point and been like, I don't know what to do, and I got to go to a different building, and found another puzzle and got to mess with that.
You could be working on another puzzle for a while, and then feel stuck.
I wouldn't. That is the most frustrating thing in video games for me personally. I play a lot of really hard games. I love really hard games. I love the Soul series. I'm so close to Binding of Isaac. I platinum, and I've beaten it with everybody except for the Lost and one other character. And I love that stuff. But if I don't know what I'm supposed to do, or if I feel like the game is not helping me or telling me, giving me a direction to go in, I'm done. And this sounds like something, if it's as open as they say, I might be able to do this one.
I was going to say, speaking of that section on Grim Fandango, it's one of those things where I think the secretary basically say, oh, well, this is the guy that's got to give approval, but he's not there. So, it's not straightforward and Manny doesn't say to himself, like, if I could only get into that office or something like that. If he'd said something like that, maybe, but I can see how it was frustrating, but that's how those games were. But I love that game. Speaking of games that I don't think are frustrating, Mario Kart 64 is coming to Wii U. And
nobody thinks Mario Kart is frustrating.
That's why I said that I don't think it's frustrating.
What I'm saying is that you're not special for thinking that Mario Kart's not frustrating. Everybody loves Mario Kart.
Some people might think it's frustrating. Red shells red shells aren't too bad.
Blue shells are
blue shell,
frustrating. Yep, in the last 30 seconds of the race.
So, Mario Kart 64 is coming out to Wii U. This was actually my first Mario Kart game.
Really?
And, I didn't have an SNES, so
makes sense.
This is my first one.
You didn't play it on the Nintendo?
There's an NES version?
No.
It was like... What?
I just like watching that reaction.
So Mario Kart 64 was my first, and I like that they're doing this on Wii U, because that means now on my Wii U I can play Mario Kart 64, I can play the Mario Kart Wii and Mario Kart Wii U versions all on there, and I think you can play the SNES version. I can't remember. Do you know?
But can you play Double Dash? That's the best one. Mario Kart 64 is also... Actually, this came up in conversation last night. I was sitting there listening to a couple of people that are way less into video games than me, which is most people. But they're sitting there talking about various experiences they had, and like Mario 64 is one of those it was kind of the heyday of local multiplayer, the Nintendo 64, because it had 4 controllers, and lots of people love this game, and for me, it's one of those that I'm surprised it wasn't already there. But there's the N64 offerings are not plentiful. But I'm glad that this one's there now.
They're not as plentiful as they should be. It's one thing that I would like to see them roll out the way PlayStation's rolling out. If Nintendo, or I guess now it'd be too little too late. But if they had done that when they were like, hey, guess what? You can play NES, N64 games on here, which they did with the Wii. And then they said, we're also going to work on GameCube games for your... That's really cool, because the Wii U can't play GameCube games. So...
Any of them?
The physical disc?
Oh, okay.
It'd be backwards compatible 2 generations.
I thought you were saying that the entire GameCube library... Does it simulate? Like, does it emulate?
There are emulated games like Wind Waker and some others that. But it won't play the physical disc.
Okay, yeah.
That's like saying your Wii is going to also play your SNES game.
No, it's not.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's still a disc. That's like saying that your PlayStation won't play PS2, PS1.
Your PS1 won't play Xbox One games. That's confusing. Your Xbox One won't play the original Xbox games. Your PlayStation 4 won't play PlayStation 2 games.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Right, I thought But I thought you were saying that it didn't. There were no GameCube games.
You can't put the
on
disc in and it won't load.
That's fine.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna do digital downloads of GameCube games, and then they've only had put out a handful.
Yeah,
and that's just disappointing.
One of the interesting things, because the PS2 to PS4, there's like 8 now. They've been doing it for a couple of weeks, and like there is a selection of games that have been on the Wii U. If they were rolling out, because like this past week was Dark Cloud 2 on PS4. If they were doing, even if it was one a week, Nintendo would be engendering a lot more goodwill, and it would be like, hey, what's coming out this week? Oh, that game. Yeah. And a lot of people would just
one a month. I mean, that'd be better than what they're doing. It'd be better than what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's coming out though. So
yeah, that one's fun, and yeah.
So a game that I hadn't heard about until recently. Apparently, the Kind of Funny guys really like it. Is Danganronpa, and if you guys haven't seen this, it is like almost like a point-and-clicky adventure. It reminds me of, because you're going through a mystery, which kind of reminds me of the whole Phoenix Wright kind of thing, where I'm guessing you have dialogue trees. I haven't seen gameplay of it.
No, I'm loving you explaining this game that you know less about.
So little about.
It's great.
I know so little about.
So I'll let you finish, and then I'll explain what actually happens.
It reminds me of a game of a movie called The Circle. So if you haven't seen that, look it up on Netflix. If you like suspensey kind of stuff, it's not too horror, but decent indie horror movie. So
okay, so Danganronpa is a story about a school. It's kind of a visual novel type of thing. Like the vast majority of the game is just you're exploring it, and you're doing the dialogue. You're making choices. You're choosing who you want to ally with, who you don't. And Monokuma is this bear who's in charge of the school. And he's having the students murder each other because he's a psychotic bear. And he's hilarious because he's like all super cutesy, and that's really fun. It kind of reminds me of the bear from Freedom Wars.
Yeah.
He's telling you, you're not being a responsible citizen. We might kill you. But yeah, Danganronpa is a really interesting look at the whole. You know, it's the high school teen anime thing with murder, and so that's coming to Steam, and I would assume it'll be $40 there, but like it is a very, very long game, way longer than I anticipated, and so if you like mysteries and killing teenagers and following the orders of a psychotic bear, then
who doesn't?
That's not a niche market at all. That's pretty much everybody. So just buy it.
Yeah. So speaking of psychotic bears, I'm jumping ahead, but this just sounds good for a segue. So Five Nights at Freddy's RPG, was completely rushed, released early. If you guys followed any of the Five Nights stuff, he does this a lot. So he can say that it's rushed, but
but this was the first time that he said that it was rushed.
That's true.
Because a lot of people are like, you've put out 4 games in 3 years.
Yep.
Come on, man, slow it down. But this one it's an RPG that doesn't have, like, you don't have stat screens for your characters where you can actually see what's going on there, and the abilities are not explained to you. Like there's a water one which is a stun because of electricity, and like it's stuff that made sense in his head, but he didn't explain it to you, and so a lot of people were really confused when this game came out. And so
water and electronics, I mean, I guess I get
yeah
we're so,
but it seems like it would be an attack, not a status thing.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, so that came out, and he says, sorry guys, I'll get to that and I'll fix it. So so maybe in the future that'll be something that'll be worth checking out.
Yeah.
But right now it's kind of not so much.
Yeah, I may have to check it out later. I've only played the first Five Nights games, so I've got 3 more to go apparently. But I like them. I wish it would.
I like the whole backstory where you're trying to figure out what originally happened in the timeline, and Game Theorist has a video on the theories and the accepted theories, the out there theories, the purple guy, and what actually happened, who got killed, why they got killed, are they in the animatronic?
Yeah, what time frame does this game take place versus another game?
Yeah.
And it's all based on like, well, the check stub here has this written on it. And
the most interesting part about it is the tie into real life and somebody that like an actual like murdery thing,
possibly
which
based on
that's it gets real weird real fast. So
well, Chuck E. Cheese is the #1 place for
childhood trauma?
No, for a fight to break out at a restaurant in the United States involving alcohol.
They serve alcohol at that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, I know.
I went to a restaurant last night that served alcohol, and like our party was like 20 people.
Yeah.
It easily could have been 100 people at any given time in that restaurant.
Yeah.
And their bathroom had one toilet for the guys and one toilet for the ladies. I was very confused.
Yeah.
Because at some point somebody has gotten absolutely trashed and passed out in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And it had like a deadbolt to lock the door.
Oh, that's bad.
So
I was at a restaurant last night that may hold 100 or so people, kind of similar to that. But you had a stall and the urinal. And you had 2 stalls for the women's bathroom. I didn't go in there, I promise. I was just told. But okay, at that point, if someone passes out in the stall, you at least can get into the bathroom, and you're like, wait, is this person okay? And so that's odd. If it's one of the bathrooms like 7-Eleven style where you like shut the door, lock the door, and no one can get into the bathroom, that's bad. That's bad.
Segue out of that.
So speaking of bad, because no one ever does this, Avatar Store is coming out to Xbox. The Xbox One is going to have the Avatar Store. Does anybody use their avatar? I mean,
okay,
I made my avatar when I first.
If you're gonna make avatars a big deal, they need to be in something.
Yes,
like you can have your wee guy running around, or girl, guys.
If you're in the north, guys interchangeable.
Okay.
Any viewers,
you guys is this group of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the northern y'all. Is you guys. It's like French.
Use guys.
It's use guys. Well, it's like in French. Like if there's a group of people, if there's like 50 women and 1 man, that group is considered masculine. And then if you didn't know that, the conjugation for that. So if you have a group of men, it's masculine. If you have a group of women, it's feminine. But you put one guy in with the women, and that group has then become is conjugated to masculine.
All right. I was unaware.
Yeah. Yay, sexism.
But like for avatars to mean something, it needs to be more than something that pops up right before a game starts.
Yeah, because that's all I see.
If you put it in a couple of games, because like the playing Wii tennis with my weird alien bug guy.
Yeah,
that's fun.
That's fun. I mean, I guess you can see what which one of your friends is playing online, and it'll show their avatar. I mean, I guess that's how you can say, oh, it's that person, or is that kind of similar to PlayStation. You just have the icon.
Yeah.
But that's all it is. That's all, Yeah. It's, okay, that guy has a steampunky thing, and this guy has this, and I don't know. My guy just looks like me. So yeah, this Xbox Store that's coming to the store in February. So if you want to spend money on things that, I don't know, to me it's just not rewarding.
Yeah,
I want to buy a hat. There's $2.
There are a couple other things in this update that are kind of interesting. Like you can see who's in a party before you join it, and that's fun.
Yeah.
And there's some other stuff. There wasn't anything like really big. Oh my goodness, they finally brought this out. But I mean, they're continuing to add features. So there's some interesting things in there. One of the other things that they talked about this week was they're still having difficulty putting background music in. Like you can snap music and have that playing off, kind of the side or whatever.
Yeah.
But hopefully that's coming this summer, and that's really cool because like there's a lot of games that the music's but I was playing Hardware Rivals this weekend, and I had a Need for Speed music playing in the background, because Need for Speed soundtracks are excellent, and the Burnout ones, and yeah. So features are continuing to roll out on the Xbox One, and they'll keep working on that. Speaking of things coming to Xbox One, January 26th is when they're going to release the Baba Yaga DLC for Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yes.
And extra tomb and everything, and so that's really exciting.
Because right now, obviously, it's still exclusive to Xbox. I'm hoping they're going to allow all these DLCs just to come out as soon as you get it. I would assume that you would. But I'm loving this game. This game does not get enough credit for how good it is and how it's revitalizing this and the previous game, revitalizing the franchise.
Yeah.
One thing you mentioned, we were talking about things that we're hopeful to get. We're still waiting for mods for Fallout 4 for our consoles.
Yeah.
We were told we were going to get them. We haven't gotten them. So one that popped up on Nexus Mods, if you guys are PC users, you're familiar with Nexus Mods, for Fallout 4 is Cadillac Jack's Radio Shack, new radio station for Fallout 4.
That would be nice, because that radio is not good.
It's decent, but it's not enough. So it's a standalone version that's not going to replace anything else. It's going to add 90 songs that say they're lore friendly. I'm guessing that it still works out with the time frame, maybe like Civilization and Crawl Out Through the Fallout. I guess they work with that. Yeah. But one thing that I thought was cool is it's professionally voice acted DJ is on there. So you get a DJ, you get a full radio station with a DJ. There's a reason he sucks, though.
I know there's a reason he sucks, but
it's annoying. You want a competent DJ.
Yeah.
He is, and he is not. He is not confident. See what I did there?
He's no 3 Dog.
He is no 3 Dog.
So who's the professional voice acted DJ?
I actually didn't see.
Because there are professional DJs that I don't like. So I'm curious about that. Professional voice actors.
Yep.
All right. So we're not sure who is in it, but yeah. So if that's something you're into and you are playing it on PC, then you have access to more radios.
Yeah.
And someday I will have access to more radios.
It says professionally voice acted. I don't know if it means professional quality or if he's actual pro.
They gave everybody $1.
He's professional.
Now they've been paid for their work.
Now he's a pro. Yeah. So check that out. Also, so filming has concluded on Assassin's Creed,
right.
the movie, which I've said before, I'm really hoping that this does really well, because Assassin's Creed, along with BioShock and a handful of other games, would lend themselves perfectly to cinema. And if they do this right, it will work. I don't know if they're going to, but I'm really hopeful. You've got Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
You've got Michael Fassbender.
That's awesome.
It could be good. So that'll come out in December, meaning that it has to compete with Star Wars Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see how it does, because that could be catastrophic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be as hyped as
maybe it'll get bumped
7.
to spring like everything else.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of that, in movie related news, Star Wars Episode 8 has been bumped 6 months.
Yep.
So it will come out December of 2017, not May of 2017. If December becomes the new place for Star Wars movies, I'm fine with that. Yeah, it's doing well. It's not having to compete as much with the summer blockbuster stuff. Let Star Wars be its own thing. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Speaking of delays, so I didn't know you could do this, but Destiny 2 has been delayed before being announced.
Yeah. My problem with that is Destiny 1 is supposed to have a 10-year plan.
Right.
Which means I've got 8 more years of Destiny before Destiny 2. Right?
So the idea, as I understand it, as the internet has told me, is that the Destiny 2 is going to be kind of like even bigger than Taken King. Like it's going to be just new content, but it's going to be a whole other planet, a whole other system, and it will work with everything before.
Okay, that works.
And you can start there without having access to the Okay. So
So
we'll see how that rolls out, but it is going to continue to be the Destiny platform,
Gotcha.
and you're not going to lose progress or your character or whatever. So,
yeah, that works.
But delaying a game before announcing it is just weird. Speaking of unannounced games,
Yes.
We have screenshots now of
Mutants in Manhattan, which I keep wanting to say mutants take Manhattan. This isn't a Friday the 13th movie, but I don't understand why they don't just say, "Yep, we're making this. This is when we're targeting it for it to be out," and then go ahead and legitimately show some stuff that is probably going to be leaked later on. I'm going to buy this.
I'm also curious, like who keeps leaking this, because is it somebody who's really upset with the fact that they haven't announced it yet? And I'm really confused about the whole development process.
Yeah.
And there are some things in video games that we never really get to hear the story of. Like I really hope that someday we get to hear the whole story of like Hideo Kojima and Konami and what the heck happened.
Yeah.
For those of you who are into the history of video games, Console Wars is an incredible book about the rivalry between Sega and Nintendo in when those were the consoles, the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, and the competition there. Because it's really, really fascinating to see why it failed, how it almost succeeded, and the competition that was there.
How it succeeded? You mean Sega succeeded, or
how the ways in which Sega succeeded, the way that they marketed, the way that Nintendo approached marketing, and Sega does what Nintendo don't, and blast processing and figuring out how they did it, and the whole timeline. Because I was a kid, I didn't even know that the Sega Genesis was. Because the timeline is Master System, Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo.
Correct.
I didn't realize that Genesis preceded Super Nintendo by as long as it did.
Mm-hmm.
But
2 years.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Because it was made to compete. It was made to basically be competing with a Nintendo and be like, look, we can do everything else, but Nintendo was already
in a pretty quick fashion, and so it. Console Wars, very interesting thing, and I hope that someday we get to find out what happened at Platinum, because that developer confuses the crap out of me.
Yeah.
I would love to know what's going on there, and maybe someday we will. And I feel like the interest in indie devs in particular makes it more feasible for people to archive stuff and keep information on. Yeah, this is what happened here, and I can't talk about it for 10 years, but people will be interested in 10 years in what happened back then.
Yeah.
And that's really cool for me, because I will buy that stuff, and I don't have time to read books anymore, but I will listen to it on an audiobook. Maybe I will even record it as an audiobook.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
So I'm hoping to do that, and someday you'll get to hear me pimp my stuff that has nothing to do with video games, but it's my voice. So if you like this voice, because this is my audiobook reading voice, then you can hear it someday, and I will tell you stories.
Yay!
So yeah, speaking of stories,
yes,
and bad things, and I'm rearranging this, and I appreciate you doing that.
Go for it.
Okay, so Fates on 3DS.
Yes,
there's a scene. Do you know about this?
I do, and I still, even though they've changed it, I still don't want to buy it out of principle. So Fates, when it's released in the West, they're going to take out the gay fixing scene.
Right.
Yeah. Out of principle, I don't want to buy it just because that was gonna be part of the plot in the game.
It was part of the plot in the game.
I don't want to support that.
Well, at the same time, I can understand, because like the official the scene is that there's a gay character, and she has a really hard time talking to women.
Yeah. And
so one of the characters puts something into her drink unbeknownst to her, which not okay. And because of that, she's able to see the male protagonist as a female, but she relates to him even though she doesn't know it's him, and she's able to talk to him. And then when the drug fades off, then she's able to see him, fall in love with him, as a male because she loved him as a female.
Yeah.
I appreciate the sensibilities, and I'm glad that they're changing it for the Western release, but anime.
Yeah.
This is not really that far out there for anime.
It isn't, truthfully. Yeah.
So from that angle, and I appreciate that they have come out in this. They've faced it head on. They've said, okay, we're changing this. There was a lot of upset people, and justifiably so. I'm with those people.
Yeah.
And then in the third one, I forget the name right now, but there was the two sides, the two families, and in the final one, you will be able to romance like both of the, because in the first one there was a guy that could be romanced by a guy. This was a girl that could be romanced by a girl.
Okay.
And then in the final one, both of those characters are accessible, so you can have your character have an option for that. And I appreciate that they're moving forward on it.
Well, it's like in Fallout 4. You can romance.
Sorry, Christian.
You can romance whoever you want in Fallout 4, but they don't give you. You add your own context as to why that's happening.
Yeah.
So, and when people were upset, they're like, okay, well, you can't start the game as a gay couple. You can't be, you can't do that. But afterwards, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that because that was that person's past. That was who they were. We didn't get contextual clues as to, was this a happy marriage? Was this was the person out at the time? There are so many. And to me, it doesn't give you that. You can add that context to yourself. I know a couple people who have, rationalized why that situation happened at the very beginning of the game, and then based on their decisions afterwards, that kind of fills it in for them.
Another piece that I really appreciate as far as that goes is like it's 2077. They've got the whole everything's powered by atoms, but it's 50s culture.
Yes.
And at that time, I see it as a lot more feasible.
That's exactly
the people, the beard, and so I can appreciate that, and that's not that far of a stretch.
Yeah.
And then you go forward. And it's there's various couples in the game as well, as well as the relationship options that you have, and it's literally zero comment is made on it. It's just, hey,
there it is, And I like romancing Piper because at least to me, it seemed like this was her first lesbian relationship.
Yeah,
which I don't know if they meant to do that. But I liked it because it was also my character's first lesbian relationship. Yep. So, they were both like, I'm liking this, digging this. I don't know how this is supposed to work, but let's.
That's why they fade to black.
Let's keep going. Yeah. Well, but just when you're just talking about it, when you're flirting, and her reaction is, and you're like, I didn't know you felt that way. I guess. I mean, and
I like you too. Yeah. And that was fun.
It's cute. It really is.
They are quite cute.
On the opposite end of cute, Dark Souls comic. The Dark Souls comic is going to be coming out.
Yes.
So it's done by Titan Comics, which I'm not as familiar with. I'll be honest. Even though I'm a comic junkie, I do tend to go towards the MAME too.
I like some of the stuff that Dark Horse does. Dark Horse.
Oh yeah, Dark Horse is
Dark
great.
Horse is really fun.
Yeah.
But I was also unfamiliar with them.
Now, I'm gonna buy this obviously, but it makes me wonder if it's going to enhance the game. I'm hoping that they've done this in conjunction with trying to give backstory to Dark Souls 3 and all of that. But at the same time, part of the Soulsborne games, and part of the intrigue of those games, is you experiencing this and uncovering these things yourself based on context clues. Yeah. So I don't know if they're doing this to give a little boost to that, give a little, solidify some things.
In my mind, it's going to be canon.
Oh yeah.
So for me, this is another resource, because like I got the guide for Bloodborne and Old Hunters, and like there's an entire section and it's beautiful, and it's all lore-y.
Lore, yeah.
And so I don't think that it will just sit there and lay out, these are the theories. Dark Souls in particular, the timeline.
Yeah.
The timeline is really tricky because there's so much that happens before Dark Souls 1 even starts. And
to my knowledge, they don't have a lore book kind of like the Bloodborne ones. We don't have one for Dark Souls,
nope.
So maybe this will become that.
This is another resource that we can pour through and find a word that confirms our theory. And considering how well they did, because the Bloodborne and Old Hunters, they do spell out some things, but everything is like there's logistic stuff. Like there's an actual section where it shows the attack frames for each weapon.
Yeah.
And so you can tell that when they get to this point is when the damage starts. And then at this point you have recovered, and it's really, really into the details of it. But the actual lore sections are very much in character and not just spelling everything out for you. I think that this will be similar, and we'll get to see the characters in the comics develop.
Yeah.
And it's not just going to tell you, okay, here is everything that happened. But if we get just even a little bit more about the timeline, because that's my big thing in those games, because they live in a world. If somebody was watching, various media that was not news, trying to figure out the timeline of Earth, there would be a lot of mysteries. Everybody's talking about the Nazis. They were in Germany, and they tried to take over the world, and they died, and Hitler was a jerk, and
probably around the 80s, because Indiana Jones is
just trying to figure that stuff out would be really complex.
I think everybody in the 70s, like the Happy Days, was the 50s.
Yeah,
and they really confused them because Leave It to Beaver is very similar.
So I like this, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'll be digging in that thing pretty hard.
Speaking of looking forward to, if you played Bravely Default, Bravely Second will be coming out April 15th. I could have sworn we talked about this before, but either way, coming out 3DS, North America.
We have the release date.
Okay,
is the news here?
We knew it was coming,
right?
But now we know it's coming the day before my birthday. Bravely Second is coming out to North America on 3DS. I believe it's out now in Japan. I don't remember 100% though. I'm assuming that it is. So if you liked Bravely Default, pick this up because it's supposed to be right in line with that. I picked up Bravely Default, but I haven't played it. I'll be honest. It was one of those.
The important thing is that Square got money.
They did
for a JRPG, they realized that there are people in the U.S. who care.
Yes.
So April 15th, check that out
because we do care. In very strange news, Iron Maiden is making an RPG
for mobile devices. Yep.
I did not expect that.
Yeah. So it's the most entertaining thing about this is that they have said that the lore of the RPG is based on their songs, and that's So the quote is, quote, a truly authentic Iron Maiden game, and so it's gonna have the lore. It's called Legacy of the Beast, and it's gonna come out this summer for iOS and Android, and I'm not gonna play it, but it's really interesting, and
as a musician, I'm not a big Iron Maiden fan. I think it's interesting that they're doing that, especially considering, this is a band that's been around for 32 years. I mean, they're no spring chickens. So for them to be like, hey, this is the thing. People like video games. We'll make a video game. I think it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and it might be a situation like with the whole Queen thing where they just had this passion and talent that nobody knew about, and then all of a sudden, hey, that dude's a scientist.
Yeah.
He's doing crazy stuff.
We'll see. Because Brian May is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this came, to me, I guess I was not following this whatsoever, so it kind of came as a surprise to me. So the Xbox 360 disc scratching lawsuit's now going to go across to the Supreme Court.
All the way up.
Which, if you guys didn't know about this, the 360, in its earliest versions, not only we get a red ring of death, but it can scratch your discs up. The biggest thing that I've seen when it did do that, which I don't understand why people would do this, they said, okay, if I've got my 360 on and I move my 360, it'll scratch my disc. That was one of the biggest. Like, who does that?
And that's Microsoft's assertion, is that this only happened when people misused our product.
And so the 360 was designed for vertical or horizontal usage.
So it would have to be on too while you're.
From my understanding,
you don't move.
I never.
You don't move it while it's on. Yeah. You don't move it with the disc in it. You don't.
I picked up my first 360 about 6 or 8 months after the 360 came out, so I was in line with not only the red ring but also this.
Yeah.
Did get a red ring once, but I'd had the console forever at that point, and actually that wasn't even my first 360. So I don't even chalk it up to that.
There's a 360 timeline. We'll publish it.
Yeah.
Never.
Never. But it surprised me because every single time that I've seen YouTube videos and I've seen all these different things of people talking about it, and it was always, well, I turned it on, and then I decided to move it to do. No,
that is not how you do this.
Yeah, I don't even move my electronics, even if it's physical media, like physical based. It's like, okay, my PC or my Xbox, if it has no disc in it and I have it on, I'm gonna turn it off before I start messing around with that. I mean, you've got fans and moving parts, and
why are you moving the console? You set it up.
Yeah.
You let it gather dust while you play things on it.
Yes.
And then if you move to a different house, you need to unplug it before you do that, because there's no reason to have an extension cord from your old house to your new house.
No. They frown upon that. And they frown upon you taking your power from your neighbors as well.
Yeah, which was apparently happening to my parents.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
The electrician 2 doors down, who was apparently also dealing meth, and his house burned down.
Hey, look at that.
So, yeah.
So he rerouted power, so he was getting power off of your parents' house?
Yep.
He's an electrician, though?
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least he knew how to do it, right? Was it actually an extension cord going?
I don't know how he did it, but like
whenever I see crime things, I'm like, okay, did they do it efficiently? How do logistics work out on this? And then I'll be like, okay, how could they have done it better?
Yeah. So speaking of 360 and backwards compatibility and stuff.
Yes.
Witcher 2 is backwards compatible now.
Yes,
so that's
free.
And free.
Pick it up. Just pick it up, guys.
Until February 6th, I think?
Yeah.
So, and the other thing that they announced at the same time, because this was another batch of games. Witcher 2 is the only big. Did you see anything else that was?
I didn't see anything like huge after that.
So the other thing is that they've said that they're releasing, like, as they're able to convert them from 360 to Xbox One, they're just going to be like, hey, this one's out now. Okay, this one's out now. This one's out now, and they're just going to push them when they're ready.
Yeah.
I actually don't think that's as great of an idea.
Yeah.
I think that batches, because like we're bringing you news, and then we're discussing it.
Sure.
But I'm not going to announce. You know, if they had just told me that, hey, Jeremy McGrath's Off-Road is available, I'm not going to bring that up.
No.
But if there's a list of 10 games, then
we'll
people
talk
are
about
gonna
it.
people are gonna click in and be like, oh, that one.
Yeah.
And that's gonna. Yeah.
Yeah. So like we said, Jeremy McGrath's Off-Road is in there. Small Arms, Skullgirls, Soul Calibur.
Calibur. The first one though. The first one.
Yeah, the first one. Space Graffiti. Sam and Max Save the World.
Giraffe.
Age of Swings.
Space Giraffe.
What? Space Giraffe. What did I say?
Graffiti.
Yeah.
Giraffe and graffiti are not the same.
No, they're not.
You're married to a vet.
I put my finger over.
I don't know the difference between giraffes and graffiti.
One is bigger than the other.
Sometimes. One has a really long tongue.
One does have a really long tongue. Sam and Max Save the World, Age of Swing, Counter-Strike, Go, okay, and Age of Booty.
Yeah.
So, pick up your Age of Booty. Yeah, like you said, if you release it in a list, I guess you're going to get more people clicking it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with them doing that, because at least then it leaves less room for games to sneak under the radar for you to go, wait, that's out? What? I didn't know. Yeah, so I'm okay with that. But yeah, that Witcher and I guess the first Soul Calibur are decent on there. So yeah, pick them up.
And Counter-Strike Go still has a big community, but I don't think on console.
I know it is a PC.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other news, so Mortal Kombat XL edition is going to be released in North America, and then also
that's going to have the main game, and then they've had 2 seasons of
DLCs,
or 2 character packs that you can buy.
Yeah, so all released with that. So that'll be March 4th.
So not too long.
That's not too bad. And then also, so Warner Brothers is also releasing the Combat Pack 2 but it's not going to be for PC.
Right. Warner Brothers was also the publisher that did Arkham Knight and screwed PC players over. And I don't understand this. If you release a game, you have DLC, that DLC should come out elsewhere.
Yeah, it should.
And they also released what is I believe will be the last patch.
Yeah.
For PC, kind of fixed matchmaking stuff and made that a little bit better for PC players. But a lot of people are really upset about this because they bought their thing, and you could cross-play and you could do it with all the people, and I don't understand why you would shut off. And they didn't say they didn't give a reason. They just said, hey, this is announced for consoles, and then people were like,
what about
PC?
Yeah.
And they went, nope. So,
and if I'm curious to look at, and it's going to be hard to do that because the PC has so many digital purchases. I would be curious to see in a game that comes out completely cross-platform like Fallout 4, how many people are buying it on PC versus Fallout 4 may be a bad one to talk about though, because you have a mod community behind that. Yeah. But for Arkham Knight or other games, how many people were initially purchasing it on PC versus console? Yeah. How big of a market share is that for cross-platform games? Because obviously there are games on PC that come out that are very niche to an extent. They're indie games that anyone can have as opposed to having to submit it to Sony or Xbox, and it's a lot easier of a community to grab stuff, and Steam and all that. But I'm wondering if it makes less money for the big name developers, even smaller share than the console game.
Even so, you don't want this kind of stuff said about you again, because
you're basically spitting on that developer.
Arkham Knight runs well on consoles.
Yeah,
but when you bring up Arkham Knight in a conversation, what people talk about is how broken it was.
Yes. Yeah,
that's a problem, and that is my perception of that game. I didn't get around to playing it, but I will someday.
I had no problems on console. I had no problems on PS4.
the console version worked fine, but that's something that's going to come up every time. Every time that your game is in discussion, people are going to go, "Oh yeah, did they ever fix that?" Yeah. The answer is mostly.
Yeah, like if I say Unity, the first thing that people think of is the graphics of the people without faces and the eyes coming out.
Yeah.
So, it leaves a bad taste in gamers' mouths, and I think that the more hardcore people, the people who listen to stuff like this, when you're listening to an hour and 2 guys talking about video games, you people, and I mean you people as my people, you remembered publishers and you go, okay, they did this before. Mm-hmm. I don't trust them. I'm not going to purchase it. At least not on launch. Wait and see what happens.
Well, like the way that I did with Bethesda and Fallout. Yeah. Like, because the Skyrim on PS3 didn't work, and they didn't really say anything about it for a long time. And so when Fallout 4 came out, I waited until the very last minute when the reviews had come up and like Digital Foundry and everybody had tested it, made sure everything worked.
Yeah. And you felt
with an asterisk because it's Bethesda.
Sure. But you felt confident that you were going to get a good gaming experience. You didn't,
Right, and I waited. Yeah. And that's...
And now with the way that Amazon works, you don't have to wait, segueing back into what we talked about before, but you don't have to wait. You can actually watch the first reviews come out during that week, the day that it launches, the week that it launches, and pre-order it, later on in the week and have it, on the weekend. If you do it by Thursday, you should have it on Saturday. So it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. Speaking of worth it, Splatoon. If you guys aren't playing it, pick up Splatoon. Because
Splatoon is so goofy and fun.
It's goofy, it's fun, it works for all age groups, so if you want a game you can play with your kids, this is one of those.
Yeah, and it was an interesting game when it came out, but like the amount of support, and I love that Nintendo is finally getting on board with this. And we talk a lot about DLC and this is coming out and whatever, but the Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, Splatoon, if that's the way that they're going to treat their games, and Mario Maker too. Yeah. If this is what they're doing with their games from this point forward, that is a huge thing.
It really is.
As far as online support, because their games work when they come out. They're not broken pieces of garbage that you have to patch. But the post-release content that they're giving is extraordinary.
Yeah, it really is. You don't see that support out of some developers. You don't see that support at all. Yeah. But in this case, you're seeing it consistently from Nintendo. Gotta hand it to Nintendo for consistency.
Yeah. Because one of the coolest things for me was the Mario Kart DLC. Because I love extra tracks and extra cups and everything. Yeah. And it was $8 for tons of content. And it was outrageous how much they gave with that. But this is the last little bit of here's the rest of the stuff for Splatoon, and
the last levels, the last final multiplayer levels that they're going to come out with. Yeah.
And so it's a really cool thing, and we're quite happy with it.
And speaking of value, Atari is coming out with 100 title bundle in the spring.
Yes.
I'm assuming this is going to be around full price. I didn't see pricing on it.
They haven't done a price yet, but I mean, it's the cool thing for me is that it's when you think of Atari and bundles, because they're calling it the Atari Vault, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the Atari Vault, and it's I'm not going to pay for Pitfall.
No.
I'm not going to pay for Adventure.
No.
But you put all of those in a bundle.
I'm buying.
Yeah, sure.
I'm buying.
I'll buy that because and especially I want the girls to see where gaming started. I know that there was stuff before that.
There's the Magnavox Odyssey and a few others, but Atari is the big start of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they crashed the market. Almost killed video gaming.
Yeah. A little bit.
But yeah.
Part of that was everyone was making games for Atari, and there was no quality control whatsoever.
Nope.
So it's not just ET. There was a lot.
But the games that Atari put out, and that's what this is. This is their published games. Those were really interesting, and you're not going to get 4 different versions of Pac-Man that look slightly different.
No.
Because that was another problem with clones and the mobile market, and so
that should be fun. I'm gonna pick it up because I love retro gaming, and to be able to grab all of those and be able to emulate them, very cool. Easy access to emulation.
I would like Sega to release, because if they did there was some really fun stuff on Sega, and if I can get Altered Beast and all the Sonic Pinball is actually the one I've been jonesing for lately.
Oh yeah,
that was
Sonic
fun.
Pinball was really fun. Yeah, I can see that.
So yeah, if they do stuff like that, and usually these are priced $15-$20, and absolutely worth it for 100 titles. So that's the news that we have this week, and so
let us know what you thought, and if there's anything that we missed in there, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.